How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Jed, Mod Ash,
hello,
myself, Mod Archie, Mod Aiza,
yo,
and Mod Kieran.
hello.
We've also got Mod Maz on the chat, gathering questions, so at RuneScape with anything you'd like us to talk about. Today we're going to first off discuss King of the Skill as well as the Wilderness Rejuvination. If you're wondering what King of the Skill is, you can do !KOTS, and that should take you to the news post, which you can find on the website, which will give you a brief explanation. But if you don't want to read, as most of us don't, Kieran will explain for you.
Yeah, but you just explained a perfectly reasonable method for going to learn about King of the Skill.
Go on.
Anyway, so King of the Skill is a new game mode that we're running throughout the duration of November. There are 6 worlds for this. If you log onto one of these fancy new worlds, you'll have 10 times XP, and you can only play up to 24 hours throughout November. Now you're wondering, what's the point? So the winners of this competition will be the highest people in each of the 23 skills, and whoever has the highest total level. And the prizes are on the website, but the winner for the total level will get a gaming PC. The winner for each of the skills will be getting lifetime membership. They'll also be getting an old school merch pack, etc.
Wow.
Pretty exciting. But the whole idea behind it is that it's a fair skilling competition that's not determined by how long you play for. It's determined by Chris, you distracted them.
Wow.
Wow.
Also, did you say
it's not determined by how long you play for, it's determined by the strategy you go forward with. So you've seen some of the streamers playing it today. I know For Freedom's been looking at doing the total level competition, and he sat for a long time on his stream just with a notepad up and planning out every single step he was going to do. And you've just got to nail it. You've got to work out the best route to take through the game, the quests you're going to do, which methods you're going to use for the skills, how you're going to get your items, because everyone's also an Iron Man. So you're not going to be able to buy stuff with the G to fast track your way through.
Did you mention the 10 times XP?
Yes.
Yeah,
wow.
There you go.
Is there anything more to mention?
That wow.
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 Yeah, so I mean, you know, obviously within 24 hours from now, or less than now, we'll find people who have already reached the end of their account. We'll see how far they made it.
There are already people at like 93 plus fire making. I know MMORPG is doing well with the Hunter
Hunting,
now.
Yeah.
I think he's like second or third.
He loves Hunter. I guess if I was playing this, I would wait the first 24 hours and then I'd get right into it, like learning what the fastest methods are.
Messed up.
You wait until you see Foe do it, and then you find out his strategy, and then you improve where he's messed up, because surely he's messed up.
Just don't do a sick nerd.
But that's the awesome thing. If you can only play 1 hour a night, you can still take part.
Yeah.
You could just play 1 hour tonight, 1 hour the next day, and before the end of the month, you will have managed to lock up 24 hours. So if you have the perfect strategy, but not too much time to play, you can still give it a go.
And move up into the light. Still very dark back here. Anyways, so that is King of the Skill, thank you. Next, we're chatting about Wildy Rejuvination. Monaiza?
Yay, I get all the
Take it away.
jobs. Thanks, Archie. So there's been a devlog out for about a week now. We've been taking a lot of feedback from the forums, Reddit and Twitter. Made a load of changes. Hopefully, if there's no negative or positive, in fact, actually, whatever. Hopefully today will be the last time that we have to make any changes. The poll's going to go live tomorrow, so it's really important that we get final pieces of feedback. I've got some notes that I just wanted to quickly run through in terms of...
You're not texting?
No, I'm not texting. These are notes, by the way, because we all know I'm not the best at speaking without something to refer back to. Let's not go there. So yeah, just really covering the main issues that we've seen coming through from the devlog when it was announced. Firstly, there was the Chaos Altar. That was initially proposed to be kind of like a high risk, high reward in the sense of XP activity. We saw a lot of concerns that we were kind of like forcing efficient players or those that wanted to get the maximum experience rates per hour into the wilderness. So we changed it, and we've made it now so that instead of it being focused around XP, it's focused around saving gold. So it's a GP method rather than XP method. If you want to go out and get the best experience per hour, guaranteed, you can do so, carry on with the Gilded Altar. That's going to be a higher cost, though, than what the potential Chaos Altar would be, because you could save up to 50% of your bones. Yeah, there's still going to be that level of risk because people will still have their noted bones, they'll still have the gold for unnoting, and I think that's a better direction in general for the altar overall. The Mage Arena 2, this one in particular, we've had a lot of talk around the stats of the cape. Originally, it the majority seem to feel like the Cape was quite overpowered in the sense of it having plus 20 magic attack defense and plus 5 to all melee defenses. In PVM, it's not actually that much of a buff, I guess. It's more of a buff that was focused around PvP, and it was a little bit too strong within PvP, so we reduced the stats a little bit to make it plus 15 in accuracy and defense. There's still been a little bit of talk around, well, the talk now is that it's too weak and it needs to be made better.
So just to kind of touch on that a little bit, essentially what's going on with the Mage Cape is we've looked at the original Mage Cape, which was introduced over a decade ago. Extremely easy to get. Everybody's got one of those. Cost absolutely nothing apart from the runes. And boom, best in slot. And we wanted to create something that was better than that, obviously, but we wanted to create that with a challenge. And it is a challenge. It's going to be quite difficult to get these, and also difficult to re-obtain one when you lose it. So naturally, we wanted this thing to be pretty good. And then a lot of people replied and said, but you don't need it to be that good. All it needs to be is just 0.5% better than the previous one. And then technically, you have a new best in slot without the power creep. So I think we're trying to find a really nice balance here. We've worked with the community really well. I think Aiza hasn't slept. We've gone through this quite a few times now. It would have been very easy to just push out one time and say, this is it, this is what you're getting.
Yeah,
but
we want to make sure that it's right.
We found a good compromise
If in
now.
6 months' time, what I use's hair isn't looking so grand, because we've been tearing it out, trying to get these
You'll just notice the
perfect.
forehead will slowly get bigger and bigger as time goes on.
Well, you yourself had a fairly drastic hair change since you joined us.
That was so long ago now, like 2015.
It was so long.
Yeah, I think we were all, well, I was there at one point. But yeah, one of the other things about the Mage Cape as well was that a lot of people said that it was too difficult to reobtain. We wanted it to be difficult, we wanted it to be a challenge, but maybe it was a bit too punishing. So there's a new question added in so that you can only have to kill one of the bosses now rather than all 3. But if there is genuine need to have the Cape made different or better, then let us know today, because tomorrow the poll will go live. So it's the last chance to get any feedback. We've heard about increasing, basically giving an added damage bonus, but I don't know. Not sure how I feel about that one. It's down to the community at the end of the day. It would need to be polled as an additional question to the stats that we have. We thought maybe a better idea would be to give it a way of increasing the effectiveness of the god spells. So maybe making the max hit with charge 35 rather than 30. Other than that, Rev Caves. I love Rev Caves.
Is the cape going to be animated?
The Cape.
No.
Ooh.
Please
This
no.
is something we haven't decided yet. So
Yeah.
we've had a few designs come through from the players and from the art guys as well, and a couple of them have been animated. I think we had the kind of magic tree stars coming down the back of it, and it looks cool, but we need it to fit in as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of time spent around designing those capes.
Yeah.
I think we'll go down a similar process with we did with the Infernal Cape, and this is one that we will work with you guys on, back and forth until we get something that everyone's happy with.
Everyone.
Well, as many people as possible.
How quickly can we get through Rev Caves?
Rev Caves, I'll be really fast. So I just want to make the main point that we've seen with Rev Caves is that it feels like people have said, why are we driving PVMers and non-PvPers into the wilderness? I mean, at the end of the day, Rev Caves contain NPCs that are part of the Wildy Slayer task list. So anyone that wants to go in there to continue doing that would have been going to the wilderness anyway, which then leaves the only other reason potentially being that it's good GP per hour. But if you look at all of the other things within the game that are safe, that offer GP per hour of the same level, it's not actually that different. At the moment, one of the issues is that there's no real sustainable way for PKers to gain wealth, so they have to get involved in PVM or skilling. With the introduction of Rev Caves, would likely see less PvPers doing PVM. With that, there's going to also then be oh, there we go, less bossing activity. This is where I'm reading my notes now, so sorry about that. And if you want to go out, you know, if people want to get involved with Rev Caves and risk it, that aren't PvPers, then great. That's going to bring more solo PKers. The solo PKers attract clans, the clans attract rivalries, and then before you know it, we've got our own little ecosystem within the wilderness. Other than that, there's the rewards.
I liked your point about where they have to go right now. So PKers at the moment can only really go to what the wilderness bosses.
Yeah, so the main hotspots are the Black Shins and the wilderness bosses, because there's nowhere else that other people are in at the game at the moment. So you find that you go there, you get killed a lot. it's because there's nowhere else for them to go. With Rev Caves, there'll be somewhere else for PKs to go as well, so maybe those activities will be a little bit quieter. And then
That's
finally,
obviously excluding like Edgeville.
yeah, of course, where people just go to PK purely. And then just to quickly touch on the Rev Cave rewards, because I don't want to bore you all and keep on draining it out, but at the end of the day, the rewards from the Rev Caves are a community decision. You guys are going to decide what comes in, what doesn't come in. A lot of people aren't happy about best in slot items coming from the wilderness that don't have huge requirements and are buyable, but there are many things in the game at the moment that are buyables, that are best in slot, that if you don't want to go out and earn them, you can just buy them. So I don't really see that being a huge issue. At the same time, you know, there's so much risk associated with the items that's almost a barrier in itself, is that you've got to risk yourself going out into the wilderness to actually get these items. You could get killed. It's going to take a while. And I think the drop rate for the best in slot fan braces that we're proposing is pretty high.
Is that a high drop rate as in you get a lot of them, or a high number?
A high drop rate. So it's approximately 1 in 9,000 for the highest level revenant that you can kill, which is...
Oh, leaked already, wow.
It's on the news post.
in the dev blog.
Oh.
It's in there. And then lastly, just about PvP armors. There's a lot of talk about PvP armors being really strong. I mean, we're not going to lie, they are pretty strong. They've got some really good stats, but they're going to be so expensive to use. And at the same time, we've changed it so that they're now introducing a gold sink into the game. So you'll have to pay a fee to be able to actually wear the PvP armors, and then when you die, a portion of that fee is always lost. The other person that kills you will get a certain amount of GP from that. It'll be 80% of the fee, but there'll always be 20% of that fee being taken out of the game. So
Those things are good.
Yeah, that's a nice way of making a good balance.
Right. So plenty of stuff going on with Rev Caves and Ability Rejuvenation. There's a ton there. It's all going to be in the poll tomorrow, roughly midday BST. Look forward to that, hopefully. Yeah.
I think we're looking towards the afternoon.
Oh, the afternoon, okay.
We can launch a poll when we feel like it, pretty much, so whatever you guys like.
Tomorrow.
It depends how much feedback they give me, I guess. If I've got to go through and rewrite the whole thing, we're going to need a little bit more time.
That being said, let's get into the normal questions today then. Party Pete says, can Spirit Shields get an ornament kit? I know, this is one of those that you think originally you're like, nah, that's dumb.
I like ornament kits though. Like,
well, they want more stuff from the Corp. This could perhaps give some help.
The best ornament kits are like decent treasure trove rewards. So it's the one way when you've got all your gear. It's one extra thing to spend your money on and look better than that other scrub who's also got the best gear. But
you've got a normal Elysian. It's not even ornament.
Exactly.
Kit.
You're looking at your friend and you're like, you only got a normal Elysian? What a scrub.
Elysian or Elysian?
That's a good question.
Some say Elysian.
Good luck typing that one, man.
Elysian or Elysian, and no one says Elysian.
I think it's an interesting idea.
Is it Elysian though?
It's Elysian.
Is Elysian the right answer?
We'll solve this
Surely.
protocol.
The community will decide, and from then, therefore, it will be the correct pronunciation. As for an ornament kit for those shields, I'd be well up for that.
Okay, let's just do this.
A new Master Tier Clue Score reward.
Say it how you say it.
Elysian.
Elysian. Now, chat. Chris or Kieran?
Elysian.
Elysian.
Ellie.
No Ash. Okay.
No, you've said no, it's just going to be Ash.
It's like
That's
Chris,
me. They're all
Chris,
saying me.
Chris.
Let's go.
it's like back in the day. Back in the day
Wow.
when we did, when we did the Jane was pronounced video.
Yes.
And they asked us to pronounce Ardoin, which is how it's pronounced, and I said Ardy, just
Because it's easy.
settles all the debates. Ardy, for God's sake.
I was
never-
going through that, and I just added the word flange to the list of words I had to pronounce, and they got very confused when they were editing the video to find out what word I thought was pronounced flange. I just said flange.
I've never felt so in sync with chat before.
Ardugna.
Right, let's go to the next question. We straw polled. Sorry, we straw polled. I can't even try to read those.
We straw polled
pronunciations.
Elysian versus Elysian, and you won, Chris.
Oh, is that 82%? Wow.
Wow.
Sorry about your luck there, Karen. Next question. Voss says, if the poll passes, can you make the Wilderness Altar single combat?
The thing I don't like about making something so strong, like, I mean, we have nerfed it from the initial proposed idea, so it's not quite the same level of reward for your risk, but somewhere where you can box an ult and be at zero danger whatsoever, I think shouldn't have such high rewards.
Yeah, with boxing, it requires it would require 24/7 moderation from somebody, either on the team or player support or somebody, because obviously that wouldn't be allowed. You could just bring an ult there, kick yourself, and then abuse some fantastic XP rates and save yourself some money.
It's something that wasn't considered with previous updates, and we've had to retroactively go through and actually put in mechanics to stop people being able to do it.
Yeah.
And we can just bypass that by not having it in single.
And so now doing it, you never know. There might be a clan of 100 ready to log in, and that's going to have to be the fun of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait to see like clans locking down that area if it does pass. And that's one to be on the
And then
best
a bigger
parts
clan
about it.
comes by.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah. Ditter says, can you do another Wilderness Wars? Wilderness Wars was kind of a fun idea because we had some spare time and we wanted to do an event in between a Deadman event and just after, I believe, the PvP Championship. So we had the time for it, and we were feeling like we wanted to do something in Insomnia, so we gave it a risk. It was good fun. Definitely could use a few things to change. I don't know how much dev time that would cost the team, but I wouldn't personally be in the position to say, let's put Raids 2 on hold and start working on that instead. So if the opportunity comes again, yeah, but not top priority. Vendetta says, what are your thoughts on grinding/crushing down granite items into granite dust? This would make granite dust a bit more obtainable in bigger quantities and would let other granite keep a decent value.
We're not talking actual granite lumps out of that quarry, are we?
No, I think they mean like if you get a G more,
It would
grind it down.
technically,
I hope it's not talking about putting in a pestle and mortar.
it would technically make granite dust tradable, though.
Because you could buy the items and then grind it down. Yeah. I guess if we were to do the pile of making it tradable, that could be an option.
Yeah, I think it would require granite dust to be tradable first, or
Okay,
it
so
would essentially be tradable then.
his second paragraph says, this would indirectly make granite dust tradable, though, since you can buy granite mauls or legs. So perhaps it should be introduced if the poll for tradable granite dust passes, or an extra untradable item such as the granite crusher, there you go, should be dropped by the Guardians.
Granite crusher.
To ensure only people with 70... I figured, you know what, you have the granite maul, and you just pick it up and slam it really hard on something that's going to break it.
The tungsten carbide plinth.
Maybe we need to add an immovable object.
Well, the idea of
I mean, overall though, I feel like the granite dust is a unique resource that should come from the Gargoyle boss, and that's a staple of its drop table. You get it every single kill, and you get it in vast quantities too.
Granite mauls are so cheap, and there are so many in the game. The second we do something like this, granite dust is going to be worth nothing.
The funny thing is, speaking of the G Maul, we were very tempted to make it the item you have to pay to unlock the chest to get your stuff back after you die from the boss. But we decided that it just doesn't really work. but we were tempted by that idea.
Maybe next time.
But, yeah, I mean, so many people kill gargoyles, and the granite maul is not even a rare drop, really. That they just flood into the game.
Right. Custom says, can you decrease the regularity in which lizardmen shamans use their purple spawns attack? It's not really fun or remotely difficult to deal with, it's just annoying because they spam it. It's bad enough in the Slayer Cave, but I can imagine in multi it's even worse. They take long enough to kill and the drop is 1 in 5,000, so arbitrarily making it one of the most click-intensive PVM activities is too much.
We would be
Continues
able
to say
to tone
that.
down that one a little. Also, I wouldn't really want there to be a whole crowd of those things swarming at you in all directions.
Oh, a lot of no's though.
Okay.
Can we straw pull this one, please? So we're decreasing the regularity in which lizardmen shamans use their purple spawns attack. Essentially,
Is it a regular thing or is it a cooldown thereafter?
I don't remember writing a cooldown for it, so it can be random lots of it or random very, very rare. It's entirely potluck.
essentially we're making lizardmen shamans a little bit more AFKable, just a little bit less annoying to kill.
Just a little bit.
Decreasing the purple attack.
If they're happy with it being annoying, I'm very happy to let them deal with it.
I mean, what's important is they understand the question. We just need a yes or no.
Get swarmed by the little purple people.
That sounds strange now.
Well, we have the straw poll in the chat momentarily, guys. Next question. Brent says, is it possible for the items kept on death interface to be reworked? It currently doesn't account for untradables and gives you no indication of whether an item will degrade, become broken, or become lost, despite being untradable, etc.
Rather depends if we're going to do that level of work to it, whether we're likely to change the mechanics in the foreseeable future. Because it is a question that gets asked more and more. We said these things were temporary measures. How temporary, that being like 2015 for some of them, 2014 for others. If there's any likelihood that we'd be running polls about what to do instead, then we should probably go in that direction rather than spending what could be quite a long time reworking that menu to describe the current situation.
Right. So we have the results back from that straw poll, some saying they're already easy enough as it is, with only 58% of the chat saying yes, they would like it a little bit easier to kill lizardmen shamans. Not a very strong majority there. Moving on. It's 8. Oh, my favorite question. It's 8 says, can we increase the speed of maces by 1? Dragon mace has 11 less strength than the scimitar, yet is 1 tick slower. Increasing its speed by 1 would give us a fast crush weapon, which is already rare, and a good prayer bonus weapon.
You've been waiting all day for this question.
Not all day.
You're so keen on this one. Why?
You guys answer first.
How many have you got in your bag?
I did some research.
Right.
And I did a little digging, and I found an account he has with 2,300 dragon maces. So
Busted.
I'm shocked that he
The thing
wants
is, it's
dragon
a good
maces so
idea.
good. I know, I read it, I was like, oh, okay.
This is the problem, right? This guy thought, how can I come up with a really good idea that I can also profit from at the same time? So he's done the research.
He hid them well, but
When
when I found them, I was like, yes!
Did he hide them well? Were they just in his bank, or did he like?
I'm not going to go into detail, but we got there.
Oh, there's better places you could hide a lot of stuff than that.
That's hilarious. But the problem is now I feel like we can't do it.
No, we can't now.
This guy does
not until he
not-
sells them.
Yeah, well,
Sell
now
them, then
everyone
we'll
else
do
is
it.
buying them.
What if he suddenly turned out to be Iron Man for a week or something?
Sorry?
What if he suddenly turned into an Iron Man for a week?
Yes. Right.
Oh, I mean, I like it though. It's got,
Stop.
It's got a legit place to be. It's got a legit reason.
It's true, but haven't you always seen dragon maces as kind of like the bop weapon, just kind of like bop?
Yeah, but they have a cool
It's not
spec.
actually like a good.
They
It
have a
doesn't look
cool
like it's
spec.
any good. Just the spec though, but the normal attack is just so like, it's a joke.
They look pretty cool as an item. I mean, aside from the special attack it's got, but compared, all the other maces look a little bit like a toffee apple on a stick to me. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's really small
pretty bad,
board.
yeah.
It's not a very big stick.
The thing is, though, it's like a dragon weapon, though, and if you see someone walking around prodding people with a DDS, you don't think, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's just
You're
how
right.
they work.
Just the special attacks are good.
The thing is, the D seems good, but isn't it at Alka price?
So,
yeah, it's very
I
true.
don't think it'll even change.
I think that's because it's in the bounty hunter shop. Not sure, but regardless, the D mace is a cool special attack. It doesn't really need any help. The normal maces, however, like the rune mace, Addy mace, etc., they're not fantastic. They never have been. That's kind of the way the game's always been. Changing that now seems a little odd. Next question. Danny says, just got 99 prayer, and the Cape's effect is seriously underwhelming for the money and grind that you put into the skill. It acts as a holy wrench, which you can unlock very early on in the game. Since you don't do many activities while wearing a skill cape, it doesn't even save you an inventory space. Valley Shield 4 recharges prayer twice a day. Would have liked something like that. Can this be looked at?
Interesting, because it's a buyable skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you don't. I don't know.
Most of the skill kit perks are pretty small, but
Some say actually it's very useful when it comes to the max cape.
people do like having the max cape in their inventory for the holy wrench effect.
I kind of feel like there's no way you didn't just find out what the cape perk was after you got 99 prayer. Like you must have known what you were getting into.
For the perk anyway, that's not
It's just
like,
it's just like added bonus. isn't
Yeah.
it?
I don't know. Moving on. Tacit says, with Wilderness Rejuvination 2 around the corner, can you please consider buffing Wilderness Slayer?
Buffering.
The top 2 Slayer Masters are way too efficient with all the updates they constantly get over to ever bother doing Wilderness Slayer that has been updated 0 times since release.
There are a couple of monsters out there that were listed on the blog as being part of Wilderness Slayer, which were not on the spreadsheet. So they were never actually added to Crystilia's, I think that's her name, list. I think one of them at least would be a nice improvement to it. I'm not sure about some of the other ones, but it would be good to complete that one.
I think we were thinking about even fixing it based on the fact that a news poll went out saying that those monsters were going to be available. It seems right that we actually...
It would be right, especially if they're going to improve it. I mean, if it turns out that one of them's a junk task that everyone wants rid of again, then they might not thank us for fixing this. Yeah. Of course, with Rev Caves on the horizon, potentially, might Wilderness Slayer get more interesting with that?
Potentially, yeah. There's going to be NPCs that will be in there, and one of the questions is to make those NPCs similar to how they are in the current catacombs, so that they can be slightly buffed, better stats and better drop tables, so you'd obviously get more XP from that.
The thing is, with Wilderness Slayer, people aren't really doing it for XP, are they?
Yeah, it's more of a points thing.
Because is the XP buffed for Wilderness Slayer? I don't think it is, right?
I don't think so,
Don't
but
recall doing that.
We went with like huge numbers of points for the tasks instead.
And a separate tracker to make sure that you didn't just do, 3 Mazanakna tasks and then go to Crystilia.
There's a potential solution he's proposed here. Among many, could be to add a 300-point perk that increases experience from kills based on how deep in the wilderness you are. So capped at its level, so Green Dragon at 12 wild would give you 12 extra XP per Green Dragon. Green Dragon at 35 would be 35 extra experience, etc. You get the idea. So a Scorpion of level 14 and 53 wilderness would be 14 extra experience, and so forth. Oh, they don't like that one.
It's interesting, but from what I've seen with the Wildy Rejuve blog is that a lot of people don't want to be forced into an area to get the best XP, and I wouldn't want to make that even more of a case. I like how it's points based. It's a different reason for going there. So
yes, you're winning them over. Keep going.
Do the points need to be buffed more to make it worth it?
Another question in the chat. When Wildy Slayer passed, Lesser Demons and Chaos Druids were on the table, but are not currently assigned.
Haven't we covered that?
Yeah, I think we said that they should have been. I think you said, didn't you, Ash, that we'd like to?
Well, I said that we could do it, and Jed said it would be a good thing to do, and then we commented that we should make sure they're good changes rather than a nerf that we'd always promised them. So yeah, I think that's covered.
Okay. Perhaps something else then as a solution. Zame says, will the Runecrafting Cape act as a Wrath Talisman?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't listen.
Wow, that's so blunt.
I was reading the chat.
You can say I didn't hear you.
I'm honest, right?
Runecrafting Cape, will it be a Wrath Talisman?
Once you've got access to the guild, the thing's tradable anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
You don't have to kill the dragons to get it, so...
but you have to have completed the quest to use it, so...
Indeed, because the altar, as I understand it, is in there anyway. So I think being able to bypass a bit where you buy the talisman or kill dragons for one because you've got the skill cape seems an acceptable perk for having a skill cape in that skill.
Yeah.
So unless I hear otherwise, that's how I think I'd implement it.
Sounds good. Question from the chat then. Graben says, can we get a winner for highest quest points?
Presumably talking king of the skill.
Yeah. How many quest points can somebody get in 24 hours with 10x XP?
We were going to talk about it earlier. Like, it could be a cool thing, but without having the high scores for it, I feel like that's a big loss, and we couldn't just get high scores for it in a matter of a couple of weeks. So
also, through highest skill or highest skill total, that's very easily measured and comparable. But if 2 people end up having the exact same quest points by the end of it, would we go to the one with the most XP as well, or that might be tricky?
You'd have to use something to differentiate. Me and Jed were trying to work it. Can you do all the quests in that time? But I think the answer is probably not. 24 hours isn't really enough, I think, to just do the
challenge
quest.
us on?
Did you just challenge somebody?
I was going to say challenge.
Do you think, like... There's
I like that.
there's 100 plus quests in the game. I think doing them alone in 24 hours is a push.
Oh, Matt has a good point. It's king of the skill, not queen of the quests. That's right, it's about skilling, not questing.
I mean, speedrunning servers for quests is still something we're interested in as an idea. It's just something we couldn't pull off right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's saying Wooks can do all the quests in that time.
You never know.
Maybe another time we could do Monarch of the Monster counts or something, where people try to get as many kills as they can.
Right. Here we are. Bazzi says, I made a post about increased random occurrences in random server-wide events for more immersion. Essentially, he says, the suggestion was having more of that army of goblins attack Varrock, where players go out and attack them as well. You could have alternatives, like the Black Knight army attacks Falador from the north, come help defend World 323, etc. They can be rare or once every 2 months. Also, things like Fallen Stars. It doesn't have to be the way like it was before. You could track them to avoid getting experience in a skill you don't like, but a bit more about the cool experience of the RNG of finding one.
Why would someone want to go and join in defending the White Knights?
That's it. It's kind of a
invasion, though. You need rewards, and
it's a very I don't want to say newbie thing, isn't it? So while I assume all of our Twitch viewers are very experienced veterans, this might not appeal to them. But if you were a newer player, this might be something that you'd actually find pretty cool.
Yeah,
Might I use
cool,
them?
interesting to get. What? Excuse me. I think it's one of those things that a lot of other games have done in the past. So I remember a game called Rift that was like very focused around having these events that the whole community got involved with and did, and they seem to just be very mixed in terms of like how well they're received. Because if they're overly rewarding, everyone feels compelled that you have to go and do them, and if you miss one, then you've lost out and you'll never be able to get that back until the next one. So. But then if they're not rewarding enough, no one wants to bother doing them, and then they're just dead content. So I don't know, I just don't think it's one of those
Reminds me of like
things.
the old days when I was walking through Falador, and then suddenly I saw an NPC shouting that there was a drop party in the party room. I was just like, oh, that's a nice little random thing. You go over there, maybe you get something, maybe you don't.
see, on that topic, there was once the idea of then a hardcore Iron Man dies, their bank gets put in the party room chest, and all the bankers around the game shout that this person's just died and their items are in this chest.
Is this your idea?
No, I think it was Four Freedoms, and then
That's a good
everyone would
idea.
rush to the party room, get their stuff.
It would be so tempting to start making throwaway hardcore Iron Man accounts and suiciding them just to make everyone go running and find there's nothing there.
Maybe they would also say worth 4K.
Well, you'd recognize the names eventually. You'd probably start to memorize like the top 10, and then when you see one of those names, you really book it. But
Sorry to be the party pooper, pun intended, but what if they want to carry on as a normal Iron Man after?
Well, it was sort of part of the idea. Part of the idea was to differentiate creating your account as an Iron Man versus
okay.
creating it as a hardcore.
As a hardcore.
yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Because right now, obviously, you create as a hardcore. You've no reason to choose not to.
Yeah.
Maybe if we had a sort of permadeath thing, like I think RS3 went that way with their Iron people, that would be
Yeah.
the time when you might want to redistribute the stuff because it's never going to be seen again. I saw in the chat the suggestion for having banned accounts items turn up in the party chest. Thing is, given how many people are banned for botting, what you really want is for their botted stuff to get out the economy, not turn up for free.
It's,
Very true.
as much as it's a cool idea, it might be a little bit too late on the party room for hardcore Iron Man. A lot of hardcores have already died and didn't lose their stuff.
Repo says, will there be a high scores for King of the Skill? There is.
Yeah, there are high scores. They're not named King of the Skill though, but we did rename the Dead Man seasonal high scores to just seasonal, and now they can serve as like a general purpose high scores, and they're in use right now for the King of the Skill. So if you do go to your high scores, click the seasonal tab, and then you'll see where everyone's at.
A question for you, which I'm quite certain I know the answer is no, but it would be amazing. If on that high scores, we could also specify how many hours that account has played.
Yeah, Dream World.
I know.
We may be waiting a little bit longer for the web team to have time for something very custom.
Imagine like the top 3 in the highest scores, and one guy's played 24 hours, the other guy's played like 20, and one guy's played like 8. Oh my God, he's amazing.
I think
you'll never know.
As the month goes on, it'll probably start to get fairly obvious that when people are finished.
Do you think we could cross them off like hardcore Iron Men once they've ticked that variable that says they've played 24 hours?
If somebody logs out 1 second beforehand to avoid that happening, would it be a problem?
I guess they still have 1 tick to get XP.
You're
though,
right.
So.
That 1 tick of XP makes all the difference.
Because everybody would do that, surely. Something to consider.
All you need to do is be at the top come the 30th of November.
Right. Next question then. Here we are. Straw Hat, says, when will the updates to the RD Cloak 2 and 3 teleport amounts be implemented? They passed in last week's poll. Do not seem like a difficult update to implement. Oh, he's challenging you.
They're not particularly difficult.
None of us have been sat here thinking this is a coding challenge.
No, especially as we've done quite a few of those things before. However, we have got a few other things we've been working on. Like last week, there was the gargoyles to deal with, and that wasn't exactly ready days beforehand to give us time to build a few extra things. And this week we had 1 fewer day than usual because the update came out on the Wednesday. So they'll come. In fact, we've got quite a bit of work done for next week's update already, but getting them tested and bunged into this week's update would have been a even bigger rush, and rushing things isn't always good for quality.
Plenty of King of the Skill questions today. Kev says, can you guys implement private shops into King of the Skill?
We can't implement them in any mode as it currently stands. That's why we never did it for Iron people, sadly.
There you have it.
Raz says, why are some music tracks such as Impetuous and The Observatory not listed on the in-game music player? Can we have these available in the future?
I thought Impetuous was. There's 2 versions of it though. One of them is played when you go near a crop circle that's spawned dynamically in the outside world, and the other's the track that plays inside Pura Pura itself, which should be on the jukebox, and if it isn't, sure we can put it there, provided it's being unlocked.
Okay.
Sometimes the audio team back in the day, they'd write a track that wouldn't be intended for unlocking in the usual way. It was just like for a cutscene or something. So they wouldn't put it on the jukebox because they figured it was just a little thing that people wouldn't want. Provided they have the right kind of classification, then yeah, we can add them to the jukebox later. I think we had it done once for, I think the track's called Surrock's Revenge or Brain Battle. The boss fights for those 2 quests. We added those to the jukebox after the quests came out.
Very well. Let's give one to Majed. Hello. Oh, that's his name. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
The Camulet from Anakra's Lament, I'm saying that wrong surely, can be given unlimited teleport charges through a one-time payment. Can this also be done to the crystal teleport for Lechia? How do you say that one as well? So unlimited charges for the crystal teleport is the question.
Not sure why I'm in a position to answer this one.
I don't know, I just wanted to give you a question.
It could be done if I've not heard anyone ask for it before.
I had one person here today. I imagine they sent it to Chris.
Yeah. But is it something that people really want?
They were paying. I literally went to Elves for 2 hours just to get enough in 1 stack that I didn't have to worry about charging them for a while.
I remember picking up like every single one of them because I was like, these will be useful when I get higher levels.
It's also the case that getting them things recharged is a bigger pain than it could be because the blinking elf moves.
Yes.
I just hop worlds until I find the right one.
we did offer to put her on the contact NPC spell, didn't we?
Did we do that?
The conversation has come up. I don't know if we've offered it.
It's one way of make it easier. On the other hand, if the session that was sent to me earlier, right, was not just pay a large amount of money, but get an uncommon item dropped by Dark Beasts and take it to Eluned or the other one to Ilfine and then pay a lot of money in addition to presenting this uncommon thing dropped by the Dark Beasts, so that there'd be more benefit to Dark Beasts and a huge
Don't
cash
laugh
sink.
at Matt's comment.
I can't help it. That was
Yeah, come on,
terrible.
Ben. Have higher standards. I didn't catch it, thankfully.
Anywho, so we could do it that way, or we could just let anyone who's got a big pile of cash go straight for it.
It seemed shockingly that there was a lot of support for that, actually. So
It's a problem that needs solving.
it'd be
in some
nice.
I'd
capacity.
like it to be a really big pile of cash for that one.
Okay. I'm going to grab a couple more from the chat, and then I actually have a few questions left over from our panel at TwitchCon.
Actually, that's a thought. Maybe it could be such a large amount of money that the blinking elf builds a house and lives in it and stops roving around the woods back and forth.
I like that. 2 unlocks in 1.
Fake says, "Yo team, where are the DMM dates coming out? When are? Sorry." Matt's in the chat. I don't think we are allowed to say the date yet. Soonish. I mean, it's a winter Deadman Invitational, so winter.
29th
To be
February
specific.
2019?
Sooner than that, but
It will be this year.
yeah, I can't say the date. I'm not going to say the date. So soon enough. It's being decided. We're working on it. Yeah, plenty to do. It's going to be probably the most complex final hour we've ever done. In fact, most definitely.
You can tell them the date we're working towards, but you can't guarantee it.
Ah, fantastic. We are working towards December the 9th.
And that's for the finale, right?
That's for the finale, of course.
Finale.
Well then. So that's not, of course, that is not confirmed. That's just something that we're considering as that date, which means
It means the finale week would open on the 4th of December.
yes.
Did I do my math right?
Which is that Monday? The
Yeah, the
4th?
Monday.
I think so. Yeah. So there you go. Right. One more then. Ooh, how about a live stream with loot from 1,000 Grotesque Guardians?
We almost certainly will do that, just not for a few weeks yet.
Okay.
Probably do something like 5,000 though.
Nice.
With a bit of a heads up, you can probably do the thing like we've done before, where you can make them 5 of them spawn in the
Yeah.
that little arena and then drop their stuff onto a screen.
Sounds good to me.
We
But
managed
yeah.
it for the old.
1,000 is rookie numbers.
1 million.
5,000.
All right.
I look forward to seeing just the explosions of dusks all over the place.
So I took the time to write a few questions. For those who didn't see, we did a panel at TwitchCon two weeks ago now, I believe, which was a bit more focused on like mobile and kind of talking about the game as a whole, not so much in-game updates. But there were a few questions that I didn't get to ask that I thought might be interesting for this stream. So, first one. With Old School progressing nicely with weekly updates and massive updates that happen a few times or so a year, do you feel it could slip away from its original nostalgic feel? You think we'll ever get to that point?
I don't know. I guess it depends on what people vote for at the end of the day.
Does
really.
it still feel nostalgic now?
Yes.
I think it does.
Yeah.
And in pretty much most of the capacity of the whole game. Even we've done a lot of changes in the last 5 years.
I think they're like the main core features, which is obviously combat, and then kind of the way that you train skills, I think would be the thing for me. So as long as that's still recognizable, personally, that's what would make it nostalgic for me.
I'd expect to be able to look at the game and at a glance say, yeah, that's RuneScape, that is. And for me, and that's not just the graphical style,
Yeah.
but also the layout of things. I go to Lumbridge, I don't want to be thinking, is this Lumbridge after all? I can't tell anymore because it's been redesigned and relaid out, and apparently somebody blew it up and fixed it again. I find it easier to recognise the areas if they continue looking about the same, and the game frame's got things in them at the same place. I'm not trying to find where's my spellbook gone, or where's the icon that controls this thing. So I'd expect it to look kind of as I'm used to it, so that I can recognise, yeah, that's my RuneScape, even if, you know, you use a knife on some logs and the menu that opens in the same place looks a little bit different from how it used to.
Good answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good.
With RuneScape growing so much on Twitch and YouTube, do you find yourselves catering content that is specifically ideal for said content creators or platforms?
I think that RuneScape's always had that naturally. It's not something we have to cater towards.
Yeah.
Kind of works as a game that you can focus on a stream and you can focus on playing the content.
I find that when content is really enjoyable to play, it's also really enjoyable to watch.
That as well, yeah.
They just go hand in hand. Especially when content comes out that's specifically challenging, like the Inferno, and you can't do it.
Obviously, when we were making the Inferno, we knew it was going to be streamed. Like, I knew it was going to be a particularly interesting thing to watch on stream. But we didn't go out to make it just for that.
Yeah.
We went out there to make a hard combat challenge.
It wouldn't be the first time people have suggested something beyond the fight cave, like a Jad sequel, deeper waves, whatever. And I think we'd have done that even if Twitch didn't exist. After all, the original fight cave is fairly streamable, and Twitch didn't exist then.
Yeah.
And the rest of these get a bit more boring in kind of discussion points. I'm going to leave those out. Let's get back to the in-game questions then. Tild says, can we reevaluate everything? Sorry, can we reevaluate everything from early OSRS release polls that had 72 to 74.9% poll results to see if players have changed their minds? It's now a different kind of old school RuneScape fan base.
We occasionally do repoll polls. That was a great sentence.
So is it time for another one is the question.
I wouldn't be against it.
It's been a while.
To do another poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really has been quite a while, and we should probably clear some of the things we promised in that last poll they were asking after before we start committing to even more things, especially if you've got a fairly big poll about to turn up.
Yeah.
Example, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, and Mod Wolf has been collecting some Fossil Island tweaks, that some of which would need polling, so we think we'd like to put them to you in the next couple of weeks to see if you're up for these changes. Might make some bits of Fossil Island even nicer for you.
An example of one of the things we put on one of the early polls was Unidentified Herbs.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting one. I can't remember what it got originally, but I don't believe it was that close to getting the 75% at first. Everyone was like, no, we don't want grimy herbs. Units is the nostalgia. But obviously, since we added the G and everything, then they were pulled again, and Grimy's passed no problem at all.
Well, I think at the time it was for the G to work at all with herbs like this, you're going to need them grimy. Will you accept that if it's part of getting a GE? Turns out they would.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Like, everything changes as the game evolves and as the community changes and evolves as well, I suppose. If we had pulled the Granite Exchange immediately, I don't know if it would have passed, right? We had to start with...
Well, in 2014, we ran a survey about what kind of trading system people would like, and a fully fledged GE was nowhere near 75%.
Right.
People were willing to accept some features, not others. They didn't want to be able to trade directly through it. They wanted to carry on meeting up because that was important to them. In the old school RuneScape they remembered, you had to really meet people. It was a good way of forming community. And we released this, and increasingly it was, we don't want to meet people anymore. I just want a lot of stuff really, really fast. Where is it? So we polled a GE, and that passed. Wasn't that hugely above 75%, if I recall. But
it was very close.
Yeah, but it passed comfortably enough.
I think one of the more difficult polls was the Court Beast, and potentially coming out with like no decent rewards, because the Divine wasn't going to come anywhere close. We knew that. And then the Ellie was even close. And we were thinking, if we do a Court Beast with only a Spectral and Arcane, that is not a very good Court Beast. So that was kind of panicky, but fortunately we got the Ellie. Anyways, next question. Slime says, can you add a right-click pass option to the gorilla blocking the way to King Awowo, whatever, on Apatol?
Awowoji.
What was that?
Awowogi.
Say again?
Awowogi. Okay.
Why not? I think you have to get to a certain quest state, but yeah.
Okay. Gunthor says, can the new anti-fire potion that's going to be introduced with Dragon Slayer 2 be made untradeable?
Which would mean that really high herb lore is essential to be able to use it at all, and it would not be a money-making method. People with high herb lore who don't want to use it on the dragons.
The big issue is just the fact it devalues all the other anti-fire potions. Like, you don't need them anymore once this one comes out. Whereas if they were untradeable, then at least the other ones still have some purpose.
Right.
Could it not be made out of the lower level ones so that they become the ingredient for it? That's something we do with quite a lot of items to address this.
Yeah, I mean, look at Super Combats.
I think the only requirement, like item that we put in the poll that specifically stated would be the new Dragon Bones, so we could always just look to add the other potions in. But I mean, this one's been brought up quite a lot, and it was brought up before we actually polled the question, and we purposely left out the option to have them untradeable because of the fact that in RuneScape, for example, a lot of high-level potions are locked behind Herblore, which then forces people to have to level Herblore, and well, some people don't want to have to do that, and some people want to be able to make money off Herblore, which at the moment isn't a very profitable skill, from what I gather, and this would help solve that. And the potion itself would be very expensive, and there's definitely going to be uses for it, whilst other items within the game will still be useful without leaking too much.
I like Ash's idea of using the old potions as well.
Yeah.
Well,
that'd be good.
Not entirely original. We've done it a few times so far.
Very true.
It gets around that problem. I think we even have some armour items that you upgrade by getting doobies dropped by the dragons for it.
Few questions left, not much time. Let's get through these quickly. Pope says, as of right now, players are able to drop raw noted food in the wilderness without it instantly spawning. This is especially bothersome at places like Dark Crabs, where fishers can drop their fish and then come back to retrieve them.
We excluded banknotes from the behaviour change when we did it. I forget why, but it would be very easy to remove the line that says, check for banknote.
I think we would definitely need to do that if this Chaos Altar upgrade passes as well.
Yes, you're 100%. Sig says, could you please release statistics about the amount of GP brought into the game each day? Not just the quantity, but maybe a breakdown of the top 5 or 10 sources, such as alching or specific monster drops, etc. And could you also do the same for GP leaving the game? If this information would lead to some kind of market manipulation, could you please explain how? Says he's an economics major, etc. And I spoke to Maud Lottie about this, and she said she would be able to actually provide something to help answer this question, potentially for next week's Q&A stream. So that'll be very fascinating.
Be cool to see.
Ooh, data stream with Maud Lottie.
At least one question. Right?
I don't know, we managed to get an hour and a quarter out of data stream with Matt Kay. He just gathered a lot more data first. And she's got a lot of data she can bring.
Very true. Sonny says, have you thought about adding lunar teleport tabs in some form? They're the only spellbook that doesn't have any.
I've been sent that idea before. I said at the time that what we'd need is that since it's quite hard to edit the lectin in POH, we could go the way we did with the Arceus lectin, where you make the things in the area.
So long as we don't have Venge tabs that you can use while you're on Ancients.
The player was talking to me about teleport ones.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I just read tabs.
Ah, well,
that too.
This might be a different question.
Rusp says, will the King of the... Oh, sorry, we already asked that one. That was the high scores showing what hour they're on. And lastly, we just have a couple suggestions actually with images. So the first one is Iron Man Max Capes. If we can throw that up on the screen, please. There we are. So slightly altered colors, showing that you are in fact an Iron Man, by the way. What do you guys think?
There's a nice little icon next to their name.
Yeah.
That indicates that they're an Iron Man.
They
Do they
also
need a
have
cape
armor.
as well?
They have very stylish armor as well. Very, very functional.
Super functional.
A lot of yeses though.
Fashionscape, often popular.
Well, okay, so let's see. Can we strapple this one, please? So usually Twitch chat isn't very for Iron Man stuff. But today we see if their opinions have changed with the Iron Man Max Capes. In the meantime, we have another suggestion with another image. If we can throw that one up as well. This is the new Wrathrune suggestion. So he's got a little graphic there, which is what's found on Vanika's body.
Where's the other 29,000 Reddit threads that posted Wrathrune suggestions?
This is the one that seemed reasonable to talk about.
This one I like.
Yeah. It's put together well.
It
Good
puts me in
image.
mind of the face that appears on your screen during Soul's Bane that jumps out at you in the fear room. Only angrier.
It's recognizable. It's not very similar to the other runes. It's on Vanica. He's pretty cool.
I guess the question to ask is, what is it that people don't like about the one that was proposed? 'Cause there's a lot of
I've seen the
suggestions.
one we proposed.
Likewise.
The one that's proposed, it's in the dev blog, and there's obviously a reason that people aren't happy with it. And if that's the case, then obviously we're more than happy to look at changing it. It's just
Especially, I don't know if the artist's actually done the work for it yet, or whether I don't think there is a 3D model for it, as far as I can tell.
I think it was just pretty much put together on Photoshop as a placeholder to put into the dev blog, and this was like one of 4 potentials that we picked from that looked the coolest. So,
well, that's fine. We can have it any way they like.
yeah.
Fair enough. And lastly, before... Oh, sorry, did we get that straw poll up? We'll try to get those results up. There we are. Are you in favor of this Iron Man Max Cape suggestion? 66% yes. Yeah, somewhat. You kind of care. Okay.
Sorry, wait, there's just a question in the chat. Granite ring imbued can't be refunded for points. Is that on purpose? That should have been fixed with today's update. So I don't know if you've checked since, but yeah, Modash helpfully fixed that one.
Only took a couple of lines.
Right. So we have an exciting announcement to make for the end of the stream, but we still have a few minutes left, so we have maybe a few more questions from the chat. We do.
I don't know what this announcement is.
You're a part of it. You're not. Jed's a part of it.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh, this is a thing I said no to.
I remember now.
Jar said, will there be a display case for the new Jar of Stone?
Well, so obviously we released the Jar of Stone with the Grotesque Guardians last week. All the jars in the game, apart from that one, currently have a display case in the POH. So you can store them in your achievement gallery, and you get a nice little mini version of the bottom frame. They look really awesome. Unfortunately, Mod Ghost didn't have time to do that for launch, but has actually been working on it this afternoon. So
Awesome.
as soon as he manages to finish that, and I can plug in the small bit of content work needed for it, you'll see it in game.
Okay.
Cool.
Can the instance timer at Grotesque Guardians be increased so you don't get kicked out after AFKing for 2 minutes?
We can increase it a little bit if it's a bit inconvenient. What we don't want is people to go there and sit in the instance and just take up one of the spots, because there are some worlds that people are still hitting the limit of 8. Any encouragement for people to just sit there and do nothing,
Yeah, 2 minutes
it's
is
not a good thing.
a reasonable AFK time. Can't go really much longer than that.
After 2 minutes in most places, you expect your items to vanish off the ground, though Kieran expanded it to 30 minutes. But maybe you don't need that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 minutes is a while, though. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you get kicked out, you just can, most of the time you can just go straight back
Yeah, I was
in.
going to say, just go straight back in anyway. There's no cost to do it, is there?
No.
Question in the chat. Can we have a player-made music contest? Would it have to be MIDI? Okay, follow-up question. Are we only able to put MIDI into the game?
Yes,
Yes.
but that actually, in a way, that makes it easier for them to actually contribute.
Well, it does, yeah, surely.
But it is the kind of thing we could potentially do. It's a bit of work to convert the files from MIDI into something that sounds decent in the game, but you know,
We can convert a MIDI file to make it sound decent in the game. Making it sound exactly as the player envisaged is a little harder, because our sound bank quite likely wouldn't match theirs. It'd be nice if we could export ours in a format that they could use, like a sound font, I think it's called.
yeah.
It might
I'd like that.
might be potential concern for copyright if somebody ends up making a song that sounds similar to a popular, I don't know, pop song.
Surely we'd look over these before the
Well,
contest.
right,
It's a
but
bit-
what if none of
Yeah.
us have heard the song? Like,
Yeah,
oh, that
people
sounds
who
pretty good.
check.
I don't know.
It's a risk we take when we do player-made art contests, and always
That's
has
true.
been. But even back when we had a player gallery on the website, we don't do that kind of thing so often these days. But one day somebody might send us a login screen with what turns out to be a copyright picture in it. We are accustomed to telling players, "You make damn sure it's your copyright, and if it isn't, it's on you, not on us." I'd hope that that's viable for this, and of course, if we end up with a piece of music that is copyright, we'll take it down again.
Right. I like the idea regardless.
It's just the making the MIDI sound like the player envisaged in our sound bank
Yeah.
that, well, it should be solvable, but it's beyond me.
Man's not hot.
Oh,
Oh, man. All right. It's the announcement time. So, as we said, the potential date that we're looking at for the new Deadman Invitational is December the 9th, which means I believe the 6-hour immunity will go live on, is it the 16th?
7 days after
Seven.
that.
Okay, so on the 16th, we'll be doing a stream with the 6-hour immunity for the new Deadman season with 6 J-mods, with one of us on each hour. So essentially it's going to be midnight until 6 a.m. One J-mod's taking the first hour, I'm taking the second hour, then we have third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, and we're going to see how far we can get in that 6 hours. And then you guys can join us along to see how far you can get in the 6 hours, etc. I've already spoken to Foe about this, and he wants to challenge us. He's going to create his own account in that 6 hours. In fact, he says he can beat us in just 4 hours, or potentially even without run energy. So it'll be fun. That is the extremely exciting announcement. Extremely underhyped.
Wow.
Very exciting.
You need to add your wow in there. Wow.
I kind of took it from Curtis. Wow.
Wow!
Wow.
Can we end the stream? Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.